Hey, what is going on YouTube? Aaron here. We are back, ladies and gentlemen, and guys, we are in the Lüshun, the newest campaign to come to World of Warships Legends, and guys, this ship is going to be a problem. Now, before all of my battleship mains go down to the comments and claim that they're going to uninstall, I think this ship is rather balanced. She's pretty squishy. Her guns don't do that much damage, as you guys will see here momentarily. She's lacking a little bit of health, and she is slow. However, the complement of deep water torpedoes, fast-firing guns, sonar, smoke, and a pretty gnarly heel make this ship formidable for sure. This was our very first game, and it was quite the doozy, especially for this Z-44, who is quickly about to find out that the sonar of the Lüshun is one you do not want to mess with. We are, of course, on the map hotspot here. We spawned at the B cap, so as any destroyer player should, we are going to play our flank. We're pushing into this central location here, and we are trying to be very cautious of any enemy torpedoes as we are located. That is when we notice the Chungmu at the other flank, so we know that if the destroyer is here, which it most likely is, there is the potential for torpedoes to hit us, as the Chungmu, along with the Lüshun, do have the deep water torpedoes, which, if you did not know, cannot hit enemy destroyers. But as you can see here, we are slowly pushing our way forward. We see that this destroyer is most likely off to our right, as our twist and track, the half-gray circle, is pointing in that direction. We have popped our sonar, which is 5.4 or 5.5 kilometers. And this next part is probably the saddest thing I have seen in Legends in a while. Not only do we catch the Z-44 with his pants on the floor around his ankles as he's trying to stumble out of the stall, he beaches here, but just pay attention, and this is another balancing factor that I wanted to bring up. On top of being one of the saddest things I've seen in a bit, no one on our team decides to shoot at this lad as well, so all of his health was basically given to us. But notice, we now have 20, almost 30 plus hits, and we're barely working on half of his health. Now, we did switch to AP just to test a little bit of it. These 130mm guns are strong, but they are not the strongest, if that makes sense. You are not going to be outgunning in open water other strong gunboat destroyers. But with that solo cap and around, 56 target hits, we have our first kill and an elimination of the Z-44. So a perfect example of how strong this ship can be and why it is always important to read the patch notes. Now, they did actually change something about this ship compared to its PC counterpart, and I was told a while back, and this is why I judge these ships based on their PC counterparts, is that when they transfer ships over, they keep them relatively the same, but I guess that has since changed as this ship came to our game with a smokescreen, which is very, very dangerous. On PC, it does not have a smokescreen. But again, those balancing factors, rather weak guns despite your fast rate of fire, deep water torpedoes which cannot hit destroyers, and a rather slow top speed. I believe we have a speed boost flag, and we can only get our, I think, top speed to 36.9 knots. As always, stats, commander guide, specs, and armor viewer, even though it's a destroyer at the end of the video. I apologize once again for not getting that for the Venezia video, but we have a bunch of replays of me decimating enemy destroyers yet to come, so stay tuned for that. Getting into a little bit of the strategy and what I was thinking in this situation, you can see that our twist and track is pointing out to the open ocean there. There was another destroyer, and my thought process was if we could get rid of him, then our team, I am allowed to roam free and torpedo battleships. But I kind of noticed that our C flank was rather weak, and since we have the Alpha and Bravo caps with a good, amount of ships over there at A, I decided to push over to C to set up a little bit of a crossfire and get my torpedoes on target to any applicable ships, which looks like it is going to be this Montana. He has sailed in a straight line, abandoning his flank from B, pushing over to C for whatever reason. We decide to throw him here. I thought he was going to stop after he saw those 3 ships back there. Unfortunately, he does not. However, our ships are providing spots. We go ahead and pop 1 or the second of our 4th smokescreen, and we're going to go ahead and DPM this Alaska as well as the Montana. I don't shoot at the Montana initially, as sometimes when you are in a smokescreen or when you are a destroyer and you have torpedoes on target, you don't want to shoot right away, as sometimes players who are situationally aware will look at, where the shells and shots are coming from and potentially turn out and or dodge. However, in this situation, the Montana is zoned in on the ships in front of him, completely unaware of what is to his left and right. However, he does accelerate and move past our torpedoes. Don't worry though, Chads. Aaron does hit torpedoes in this game. So here is the fun part of this ship, developing a little bit of tendinitis in your trigger finger. This ship does have a gnarly rate of fire, however, your DPM and fire chance are to be desired. You couldn't give this ship too much of a fire chance, or people, especially those battleship mains, would probably be crying in their mom's basement. But that is when the Des Moines pops up, so we are going to have to reposition. Paying attention to things like that are going to... I see so many destroyer players just with zero situational awareness, and it is truly shocking how you make it through life without, paying attention to certain things. But being situationally aware in a destroyer is your only way to survive. We are right on the, and speaking of that, we are right on the edge of the radar range of this Des Moines, so we sort of bait it out. We turn out, he gets one salvo off, which completely misses, as well as a second, and I think he connects but one shell here. So throughout this entire game, we've gotten an elimination on a destroyer, a solo cap, and a little bit of DPM on some other cruisers and battleships, and we have taken less than 1,000 HP worth of damage. Now, speaking of health and heals, you actually may have noticed our concealment, and I was running a build I'm probably a little bit ashamed of, a double concealment build, which gets it down to a gnarly 4.9, but truthfully, that is not needed if you have any situational awareness. I always find it funny when, destroyer players run double and triple concealment. It's like, do you really need 4.9 worth of concealment? And this was notably our very first game, and immediately after this, I go ahead and switch that to Billy Sims. You could probably think of another inspiration to run as well. Coupling, your smoke with your hydro, you really don't need that much concealment, but that is the reason that our concealment was so low for this game.
Smoke generator started.
Now, these next series of events are the reason that I say I think this ship is going to be very strong. We sent out a set of deep water torpedoes, we popped one of our 4 smoke screens, and we are unleashing a good amount of DPM upon this Montana. Now, I would like to point out, however, that it is completely the fault of the Reds that I am able to sit here and smoke and DPM. We have spots, we have position, we have caps. Them not supporting their destroyer in the middle, as well as abandoning their flank, is the reason that they are now getting farmed. So when you are sitting there screaming on the mic after abandoning your flank, sometimes that finger pointing out, you've got 3 or 4 pointing back at you. So just a little metaphorical piece of advice for battleship mains who like to abandon their flank. But here is a few torpedoes. We unfortunately do not get the kill. I think this is the 2nd or 3rd kill. Well, I think the 2nd kill that we actually end up missing out on, as the Friedrich de Grosse trades with the Montana there. But I'm going to go ahead and let the rest of this game finish. We get a nice little finishing touch on this Alaska. But this is kind of the selling points of this ship. Very good rate of fire, however, not the strongest guns. Some decent deep water torpedoes, but again, talking about deep water torpedoes, they cannot hit destroyers. A rather strong sonar, 4 kind of quick dispersion type smoke screens, and a pretty decent heal. However, I've gone up a bunch against of these and, outplayed them all the same. It's usually the commander at the helm instead of the boat itself. So just something to keep in mind. But another great piece of advice for battleship mains who are going to say that this ship is the end of all time or the end of days: shoot at the goddamn thing. It's very easy to eliminate a destroyer. When they're spotted, you shoot them. If you don't shoot at destroyers and you don't support your destroyer teammates, you have no right to complain about the results of your actions. But anyway, guys, I will see you at the end. Aaron out. Peace.
Concentrate fire on the designated target.
Battle ends in 5 minutes.
Generator started. Critical engine damage.
There she blows. 3 deep water torpedoes connect with that Alaska for the Dev Strike. Boys, we got some torpedo hits, but 132,000 damage, 5 torpedo hits, 3 floods, a solo cap, only 7 spots, I think that says. So absolutely doing our job as a destroyer. Only 2 kills, however, but a pretty good 32-16 top placement there in terms of XP. XP is always way more important than damage, especially in a destroyer, but a ship very capable of fulfilling your role in a destroyer. But let's go ahead and look at our stats, modifications, and commander. Let's go ahead and take a look at our modifications here. Slot 1, we have aiming systems, propulsion, of course, in slot 2, concealment, as always, in slot 3, and a new one actually in slot 4. We have range mod, gunfire control system mod 2, which gives us a little bit of extra dispersion. I didn't notice it in that game, and a little bit of extra range. And of course we have it to the legendary selection here, which gives us a little bit of a damage as well. So I think this is truly better than either a torpedo reload, which you could argue for, but I don't think you're going to need the gun reload. 1.7 base reload, and ours is a little bit slower because of our build, which I'll show you in just a moment, but you're really getting down to the fractions of a second. So if you can manage with a 1.9 reload on these guns, then just fine. All right, let's go ahead and review our specs or stats here. Survivability, 21,540, a little bit more than you guys saw in that game. Like we mentioned, we added Sims as an inspiration for a little bit more health. 2x2 130mm guns with an 11.2 kilometer firing range and a 1.9 second reload. This is increased, like I mentioned, due to our commander, but I will mention that when we're going over that commander build. Torpedoes, 2x5, 110 second reload time, and a max damage of 18,364 with a detectability of 0.8, so pretty decent detectability there, 11 kilometer range and 69 on speed. Those torpedoes, if you can get the in range there, are pretty decent. AA defense, is 52, which doesn't really mean anything. You usually want to look at your long range AA, which is 34, which is not great. So don't be expecting a Friesland type performance there at tier 8. Maneuverability there, 37.1 non-top speed. I don't know why it said 36.1 or 36.9 in the game, but that's just what she got to. 700-meter turning circle with a 4.6 rudder. Our concealment, our new concealment, is 5.1 with our adjustments. But speaking of our commanders, let's go ahead and look. Mr. Yang Chichang with a base trait of Quantum Solace, destroyer detectability, and torpedo damage. You could probably make the argument for either one of them, Warrior Commander. They're both very similar, but Dang is just the one I chose here. Subsurface Venture, and this is what is adding a little bit to our reload time. It's from 1.9 to 1.7, so truthfully, I think this is far more worth it, is getting that torpedo speed as well as your torpedo reload launch time there. Look at me now, and again, I don't think you need Fragile Threat. You're just losing HP that you desperately need at the team. Perceptive, I think, is always a great choice. You could argue Torpedo Safari or Back in Stock, but that Perceptive, which is the twist and track, which is that half gray circle on your screen, is just so valuable to know. As you can see at the bottom here, it shows the direction of the closest enemy ship. And then of course we have Smoke on the Water. as well as our legendary perk of Unstoppable. And again, our switched inspirations of Eric Bay and Billy Sims there. Again, you could probably make the argument that you don't really need Eric Bay, but sometimes just that touch of concealment is what you want. But that is the commander we were running. Not really going to show the armor viewer. It's it's just a bunch of blue 20mm plating, which will definitely get eaten up, but overpenned by a lot as well. But there is the overview in this beautiful new port. I will say the art department for Wargaming holds it down, because the store and other places is where they kind of lose me. But Deepwater, Full Circle, and Reloader there. But that is the Lüshun, guys. I would highly recommend getting this campaign. He's going to be a doozy here. Just look in 9 games. Yeah, this ship is going to be scary. But hope you guys enjoyed that review, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Aaron out. Peace.